Right now, somewhere in the world, a cat owner is sitting in a vet's office hearing the worst words of their life. There's nothing more we can do. And in almost every single case, the owner says the same thing. But she was fine yesterday. No, she wasn't. She hadn't been fine for months, maybe years. And the reason nobody caught it? Because cats are the greatest liars on the planet. I need you to understand something before we go any further. Your cat is not a small dog. Your cat is not a furry little human. Your cat is a desert predator, wearing a costume, living in your apartment. And they are biologically hardwired to hide every single sign of pain, weakness, and disease until their body physically cannot fake it anymore. That's not dramatic. That's evolution. And today, I'm going to walk you through 6 habit 6 incredibly common, seemingly harmless habits that are quietly wearing down your cat's organs while they purr in your lap. These aren't rare diseases. These aren't freak accidents. These are things happening in millions of homes right now. Probably yours. But here's the thing that separates you from most cat owners. You clicked on this video. You're still watching. And by the end of these next 20 minutes, you're going to know more about keeping your cat alive and healthy than most people learn in a lifetime of pet ownership. The last habit on this list is the one vets keep bringing up unprompted. They describe it as something they're seeing far more of in clinics lately, and almost nobody outside the profession is talking about it. Let's get into it. I want you to think about something. When was the last time you drank a glass of water that had been sitting on your counter since yesterday morning? Water that had collected dust, maybe a hair floating in it, a film on the surface. You wouldn't touch it. You'd dump it and pour a fresh glass without even thinking about it. Now go look at your cat's water bowl. When did you last change it? This morning? Last night? 2 days ago? There's a reason this matters more for cats than it would for you. Your cat's ancestors were desert animals. They evolved in environments where standing water was risky, contaminated, stagnant, sometimes toxic. So cats developed an unusually low thirst drive alongside a very sharp sense for detecting water that's gone stale. They can pick up on bacterial buildup you'd never notice. They can sense the subtle chemical shifts that happen as water sits and absorbs particles from the air. The result? They avoid it. They take a few reluctant sips when they're desperately thirsty, but they never drink enough, not even close. Meanwhile, on the inside, their kidneys too small. Constantly overworked organs are trying to filter toxins with almost no water to work with. Picture running a washing machine with a tablespoon of water in it. That's roughly the load their kidneys are carrying. Urine gets concentrated to an extreme degree. Minerals crystallize. Toxins that should be flushed out end up recirculating through the bloodstream. The bladder wall gets irritated by urine that's far more acidic and concentrated than it should be. None of this causes a crisis next week. It's a slow erosion month after month, year after year, kidney tissue breaking down at a microscopic level, long before anything looks wrong on the outside. By the time you notice your cat drinking more water than usual, which is ironically often the first visible symptom, a significant amount of kidney function may already be gone. Veterinary researchers have found cats can lose a large majority of their kidney capacity before showing a single behavioural change. Chronic kidney disease is widely considered one of the leading causes of death in older cats, and chronic dehydration is one of the biggest contributing factors vets point to. So what actually works? First, multiple water stations. Not one bowl in the kitchen. 3, 4, 5 sources scattered around your home. Cats are more likely to drink when they stumble across water naturally during their day, almost like it's part of their patrol route. Second, cat water fountains. Flowing water taps into an instinct that moving water is safer than still water. It's not a gimmick. It's biology doing exactly what it evolved to do. Third, keep water away from their food. In the wild, cats avoid drinking near a kill site because decomposing prey contaminates nearby water sources. That instinct hasn't gone anywhere. If the water bowl sits right next to the food bowl, they're quietly less inclined to use it. Fourth wide, shallow bowls. Cats dislike it when their whiskers brush against the sides of a bowl. It's sometimes called whisker fatigue, and it's genuinely enough to make a cat walk away from an otherwise perfectly good water source. And finally, change the water at least twice a day. Fresh, clean, room temperature water every time. Your cat's kidneys are working every second of every day just to keep them alive. Giving them enough water to do that job properly is one of the cheapest, easiest things you can do for their long-term health. Picture this. You pour a big bowl of dry kibble in the morning, your cat grazes on it throughout the day, and you top it off before bed. Sound familiar? It's the most common feeding method in the world. It's also, according to a growing number of vets, one of the more damaging habits you can fall into without realizing it. Here's why, and it comes down to one word: carbohydrates. Your cat is an obligate carnivore, not an omnivore like a dog, not flexible like a human. Obligate means their entire digestive system, their metabolism, their organ function, all of it is built around processing animal protein and fat. Their bodies have very little biological use for carbohydrates. Now pick up a bag of dry food and check the guaranteed analysis. Most kibble sits somewhere between 30 and 50% carbohydrates. A cat's natural prey-based diet contains under 5%. Every single day, free feeding can flood their system with several times more glucose than their body really knows what to do with. When a cat nibbles kibble throughout the day, blood sugar spikes and dips repeatedly, and each spike triggers an insulin response from the pancreas. Over months and years of this, cells can start responding less to insulin, a process that over time can contribute to type 2 diabetes. Once a cat is diabetic, you're looking at daily insulin management, ongoing monitoring, and a real hit to quality of life. The pancreas isn't the only organ under strain. Either, when excess carbohydrates get converted to fat, some of that fat is stored in the liver. And cats' livers happen to be uniquely bad at processing fat. Quickly, it's a species-specific vulnerability. If a cat stops eating for even 48 to 72 hours, whether from stress, illness, or simply disliking a new food, that stored fat can mobilize all at once and overwhelm the liver. Cells start dying off. This condition is called hepatic lipidosis, or fatty liver disease, and it can become life-threatening within days. Compare that to what a wild cat's body expects. They hunt. They eat a protein-rich meal. They fast for hours. They hunt again. Their metabolism is built around that rhythm-intense nutrition followed by genuine rest. Free-feeding kibble runs in the opposite direction. Constant low-grade metabolic activity with no real recovery window. The fix here is refreshingly simple. Move to scheduled meals 2 per day, measured portions. Shift gradually toward higher protein, lower carbohydrate food. Wet food is usually the better baseline because it's higher in protein, lower in carbs, and carries moisture that also supports kidney health, tying directly back to habit 1. If you do stick with dry food, look for options with a named animal protein listed first, and keep the carbohydrate content as low as you reasonably can. There's a bonus to scheduled feeding that people don't talk about enough. Appetite monitoring. If a free-fed cat skips a meal, you might not notice for days. With scheduled feeding, you'll know within hours. And in feline health, hours genuinely matter. I want to ask you something a little uncomfortable. Have you ever actually looked inside your cat's mouth? Not a quick glance, actually lifted the lip and looked at the gums, the back teeth, the tissue around the base of the molars? If you haven't, you're in good company. And that's exactly the problem. By around age 3, a large share of cats already show some degree of periodontal disease. Plaque hardens into tartar. Gums become inflamed and start pulling away from the teeth. Small pockets form, and bacteria move in and colonize them. This is where a dental issue stops being just a dental issue and starts becoming a whole body concern. Every time your cat's heart beats, it's pumping blood past those infected gums. Bacteria can enter the bloodstream directly, a process called bacteremia, which means mouth bacteria are now capable of travelling to organs throughout the body. Some settle on heart valves, contributing to inflammation there. Some lodge in kidney tissue, potentially adding stress to kidneys that may already be under strain. Others help drive a kind of low-level, body-wide inflammation that keeps the immune system working overtime. Your cat may be quietly managing a background infection around the clock, and they won't show you a clear sign of pain while it happens. Cats evolved to keep eating through mouth pain, because in the wild, a cat that stops eating doesn't survive long, so they keep eating with cracked teeth, inflamed gums, even abscesses that would send a person straight to urgent care. Watch for the subtler signs instead: breath that smells unusually strong, drooling that wasn't there before, dropping food or chewing only on one side, less grooming especially around the face, or pawing at the mouth. These aren't quirks of personality. They're distress signals. Prevention matters here. Dental-specific treats that mechanically help clean teeth, water additives designed to reduce bacterial buildup, and when your vet recommends a professional dental cleaning, take it seriously. Yes, it usually requires anesthesia. Yes, it costs money. But that cleaning reaches tartar below the gum line, the part you simply can't get to at home, and often the part driving the infection. Your cat's mouth isn't a separate self-contained system. It's connected to everything else. Leave it unattended, and you're allowing a slow, low-grade infection to chip away at their body from the inside. My cat seems fine. 4 words that have quietly cost more cats their lives than almost any single disease. Let me tell you what fine can actually look like in a cat. A cat with early kidney disease eating normally, playing, using the litter box. Fine. A cat with an overactive thyroid, heart racing faster than it should, sometimes even more energetic than usual. Fine. A cat with a growing mass somewhere in the abdomen still purring, still curled up in your lap. Fine. Cats rarely give you a gradual, visible decline. They give you fine, 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 and then a cliff. That cliff is the point where their body can no longer compensate, and it often arrives too late for the easiest kinds of treatment. An annual veterinary exam isn't a luxury add-on. It's the main diagnostic tool that catches disease well before that cliff. Blood work can reveal kidney values, liver enzymes, thyroid levels, and blood sugar trends months or years before any visible symptom shows up. Urinalysis can catch crystals, protein, and early infection. Blood pressure screening can flag hypertension, which quietly damages organs over time. A hands-on physical exam finds lumps, heart murmurs, subtle weight changes, and dental disease you'd likely never notice at home. Here's a detail people underestimate. 1 year in your life doesn't map onto 1 year in your cat's life. Depending on their age, a single year can represent somewhere around 4 to 7 years of biological aging. Skipping one annual checkup is a bit like you skipping the doctor for half a decade. For senior cats roughly age 7 and up, many vets recommend exams every 6 months, simply because organ decline tends to speed up with age. Vets describe a version of the same story again and again. An owner brings in a cat that's suddenly, visibly sick. Blood work comes back with kidney values far outside a healthy range, and the vet finds themselves thinking, if we'd seen this cat 6 months ago, we might have managed this with diet changes alone. Now we're looking at fluid therapy and a much shorter runway. Early detection isn't an abstract concept. In practical terms, it can be the difference between a modest bag of prescription food and a very large emergency hospital bill. It can be the difference between years of good quality life and a much shorter, harder decline. Book the appointment even when your cat seems fine. Especially when they seem fine. Your home probably smells pretty great right now. Maybe there's a diffuser running in the bedroom, a scented candle in the living room. Maybe you just mopped with a lemon fresh cleaner, and the laundry smells like a spring meadow. To you, that's comfort. For your cat, some of those everyday products can be genuinely harder on their body than most people realise. Here's the biology behind it. Cats lack a particular liver enzyme called glucuronidase, which plays a major role in breaking down and clearing a wide class of chemical compounds, including certain phenols and essential oil constituents. Humans have functional versions of this pathway. Dogs generally do too. Cats largely don't. When essential oils are diffused into the air, tiny droplets settle onto surfaces throughout the room, including a cat's fur. Since cats groom themselves constantly, they end up ingesting some of those compounds directly. Their liver receives them with far less capacity to process them, which means repeated exposure can add up over time in a way it wouldn't for a person or a dog. Some oils are considered particularly risky for cat's tea tree oil, eucalyptus and citrus oils are commonly flagged by vets, and even lavender can be a concern in higher concentrations or with frequent use. It's worth being cautious with these around cats, especially with any kind of regular or ongoing exposure. It's not limited to diffusers, either, phenol-based cleaners. Or products containing pine oil, thymol, or chloroxylenol can leave residue on floors that a cat later walks across and licks off their paws. Plug-in air fresheners release a steady stream of compounds into air the cat breathes all day. Scented litter adds another layer of exposure in the one place a cat can't really avoid. The tricky part is the timeline. A single exposure probably won't cause anything visible. It's the repeated, low-level exposure, the kind that comes from using these products daily, that can add up to liver strain that doesn't show up on routine blood work until real damage has already occurred. Fortunately, safer alternatives exist and work well. Diluted white vinegar handles most household cleaning jobs. Baking soda manages odours without releasing airborne chemicals. Unscented, dust-free litter is easier on their respiratory system. Fragrance-free detergent keeps bedding safer. And if you want fresher air, open a window, it tends to help both of you. If you do need to use a scented product or a stronger cleaner occasionally, it's worth keeping your cat in a separate, well-ventilated room until surfaces are fully dry and the air has cleared. A few minutes of convenience isn't worth chipping away at an organ they can't replace. This is the one. Veterinary behaviourists keep bringing this up as something they're seeing far more of in indoor cats, and it's the habit most owners brush off completely because it doesn't look like a health issue. It looks like a cat just being a cat. When a cat is chronically stressed, their body settles into a state of sustained cortisol production. In short bursts, cortisol is useful, it's the fight or flight response doing its job. But when it stays elevated for weeks or months at a time, it starts to wear down the body systematically. Persistently high cortisol can suppress the immune system, inflame the bladder lining, a condition called feline idiopathic cystitis. And one of the most common reasons cats end up at the emergency vet with bloody urine disrupt the gut biome, and even drive compulsive overgrooming that leads to bald patches and skin infections. And there's a chain reaction worth knowing about. A stressed cat often eats less. If a cat goes without food for 48 to 72 hours, the body starts mobilizing fat stores for energy, and that fat can overwhelm a liver that's already, as we covered earlier, not built to process it quickly. Stress can be the quiet trigger that starts that whole cascade. So what actually creates chronic stress in cats? Boredom is the big one. Your cat is a predator. Their brain is wired to stalk, chase, pounce and catch something multiple times a day. Without an outlet for that no interactive play, no hunting-style stimulation, their nervous system doesn't just sit idle. It tends to escalate instead, pacing, vocalizing, repetitive behaviors. All signs their body is still waiting for stimulation that never arrives. Environmental monotony plays a role too. A cat confined to the same few rooms, with no vertical space, no hiding spots, and no window access, is living with a fairly narrow range of sensory input. Cats generally do better with some complexity territory to patrol, height to climb, a spot to retreat to, a window to watch the world through. In multi-cat homes, social stress is common. Cats aren't naturally pack animals. In the wild, they're solitary hunters with overlapping but distinct territories. Sharing one litter box, one food bowl, or one water source between several cats can create ongoing tension, and the more subordinate cat often shows it through quiet withdrawal, rather than anything obvious like aggression, which is exactly why it goes unnoticed. and noise or unpredictability matters more than people expect, given how sensitive feline hearing is. A home with constant loud TV, arguing, construction noise, or general chaos doors slamming, strangers coming and going can keep a cat's nervous system on near-permanent alert, never quite settling. The good news is that the fixes here are genuinely manageable. Interactive play, even just 15 minutes a day with a feather wand, a toy on a string, anything that lets them stalk and catch. Helps burn off cortisol and satisfies that hunting drive in a real physiological way. Vertical spacer cat tree, a wall-mounted shelf, a cleared spot on a bookshelf gives them somewhere to climb and survey their space from above, which tends to lower stress noticeably. Environmental enrichment helps too. Puzzle feeders, rotating toys, a window perch with a view, even a plain cardboard box. And in multi-cat homes, simply multiplying resources 1 litter box per cat plus 1 extra, multiple feeding and water stations spread around the home, removes a lot of the competition that drives tension in the first place. A stressed cat isn't being dramatic. Left unaddressed, that stress can genuinely work against several organ systems at once. And the fix, encouragingly, doesn't have to be expensive or complicated. It mostly asks you to see your cat as what they actually are, a complex predator whose mind and body both need real engagement to function well. 6 habits. 6 organ systems. 6 chances to change the direction your cat's health is heading. I want you to do something for me right now. Look at your cat, wherever they are, sleeping on the couch, sitting in a sunbeam, watching you from across the room with those unreadable eyes. That animal has handed you their entire existence to look after. They can't Google their symptoms. They can't tell you something hurts. They can't book their own vet appointment, read a nutrition label, or know that the diffuser running in the next room isn't doing them any favours. You are their entire healthcare system. And the encouraging part is, none of this is complicated. Fresh water, proper feeding, a clean mouth, 1 vet visit a year, a gentler approach to household products, 15 minutes of play. That's genuinely most of it. The healthiest cats aren't the luckiest ones, they're the ones whose owners notice the little things. Pick 1 habit. Just 1. Start it today, not next week. Then next week, add another. Build it 1 habit at a time, and within a month, your cat's health will be on a noticeably different path. If this video taught you something you didn't already know, hit that like button, it takes a second, and helps us reach other cat owners who need to hear it. Subscribe if you'd like more content like this, there's a lot more coming. And drop a comment telling me which habit you're starting with. I read every single one, and I genuinely want to know. Your cat can't thank you for watching this, but their kidneys, their liver, their heart, and all the years of purring still ahead of them, that's the thank you. Go love on your cat.